Good morning, everyone. If I could have your attention for a moment, please. We're going to be getting started very shortly, so if folks can start finding their way to their seats, we'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Hello again, everyone. Last chance to grab your seats before we get started, so please do. And thank you so much for your attention.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today on just an absolutely incredible week. I was going to say to celebrate an accomplishment, but really this is many, many years of accomplishments that ultimately lead to an award like this. The last few days have been pretty exciting, and because of that, I wrote stuff down so I wouldn't forget it, because my brain's been a little foggy, and because my brain's been foggy, I forgot my notes. So we're just gonna wing this and see how it goes. To start, just to kick things off, I want to recognize that we're here on Treaty 6 territory. It's the traditional gathering place of many Indigenous peoples. And one of the wonderful things about the history of these lands is that they're a traditional place of gathering and sharing knowledge, sharing stories. And I think there's nothing more appropriate than someone who has over decades been a huge inspiration to many and shared knowledge, shared stories, and brought the community of reinforcement learning together. So it's really an appropriate start to this. When I was chatting with Rich, a couple days ago about this, I mentioned that just recently in the news, it was announced that DeepSeek, a language model that came out, really integrated reinforcement learning into what they were doing, and this was called the Sputnik moment for AI in the U.S. By a number of leading technologists. And if you remember a little bit of AI history, you'll remember that 8 years ago, when Lee Sedol was beat by AlphaGo, it was called the Sputnik moment for AI in China. And that, of course, was led out from work that started with Rich's PhD student, Dr. David Silver, here at the U of A, ultimately work he continued at DeepMind, and went on to be the Sputnik moment for China. So far, the foundations of what Rich have built have created 2 Sputnik moments globally. And I know in conversation with Rich, he's continuing his ambitious work, and we'll see. Maybe there'll be a few more Sputnik moments created by Rich's work yet to come. It'd be remiss not to really focus on today and the importance of continued investment in fundamental research and fundamental researchers like Rich that have got us here today. One of the things that brought Rich to Alberta was the I-Corps program that at the time Randy Gable was the CEO of, and he was scouring the world to bring many of the top people here to create incredible research centers. It was the Informatics Center of Research Excellence program, and it brought many incredible people here, including Rich, to really create this as a center for reinforcement learning, which created the Reinforcement Learning and Artificial Intelligence Lab with Rich. And this continued investment in research in fundamental science is so important. And what we see the fruits of today with this award, but what we have seen the fruits of over time with startups that have come out of his group, like most recently RL Corps, an artificial agency, with incredible researchers like Doina Prekup leading DeepMind Canada. With David Silver, you could go on and on, but this continued investment in fundamental research is incredibly important, and this continued investment in the people who are leading that out. And one of the incredible things that I believe has really led to this award for Rich is people who really create a sense of gravity into their community. And they are people who bring folks into their community. And of all of the many research accomplishments that Rich has, perhaps the only thing that could rival that is the incredible community that Rich has inspired. Rich has been an incredible mentor to both his students, who he has actively done that with, but to pretty much everybody that he's met. And that community and that inspiration, I think is one of the reasons we're seeing reinforcement learning take off today. And that work by Andy and Rich and the community that they've built to me, is as inspiring as the research that they've created. So, last of all, I just want to close off before, I bring up Bill and just, mention that, awards are always a moment in time that get to be a snapshot looking back at the incredible things that have been done. But the last thing, I want to mention is that when I talk about Amii and I talk about the culture at Amii, I really love to talk about this group that's been built over time that's both incredibly humble about their field and incredibly humble about the field of science and their place in the field of science, but at the same time incredibly ambitious. And it was great to talk to Rich about how this is a snapshot of a moment in time, but he's not done yet. And there is many more ambitious things yet to be done. And Rich is continuing his ambitious work going forward. And I think that's an inspiration for everyone, that it doesn't matter whether you're just starting out in the field, whether you've won the award, the highest possible award in the field, and everything in between, that there's still room to continue to do and build ambitious things. And so with that, I'd like to welcome up Bill Flanagan, president of the university, to give some remarks from the U of A. Thanks, Bill.
Well, thank you, Cam, and welcome everyone. And Rich, warmest congratulations on behalf of the University of Alberta. I have to tell you, I was over the moon when I heard this news. For you, a wonderful recognition of your truly groundbreaking work that has changed the world and will continue to change the world. And of course, wonderful news for Amii and for the University of Alberta. And the strength that we have in artificial intelligence and the incredible team that we have been able to build that Cam was talking about. You're really the heart and soul of that. And without you, we would not be where we are today. And I have to say, I have so enjoyed coming to know you over the past few years. And as you will all know, Rich is an extraordinary human being, in addition to being a simply brilliant scientist. And so I've so enjoyed our many conversations over the past several years about AI and what AI might, and the potential that AI might have for the world. And as you know, Rich is a big thinker, and he's also a little bit dreamy, which I love conversations with him because he is so out of the box. There's not even a box to talk about when you're talking about with Rich. And so this is, again, an extraordinary opportunity for me as president to get to know you. And one of my very fondest memories, well, first when I arrived a number of years ago, Cam said to me, "Don't tell Rich, but we're nominating him for the Turing Award." And he said, "I think we can do it." And I said, "Anything I could do to help, what a wonderful tribute this would be." So I also want to just mention the nominating team, I'm sure. I know that there's a considerable effort goes into making this happen, and I just want to also acknowledge you, Cam, and I'm sure a whole team was behind this nomination. Okay, well, oh, well, I can tell you now. But a while back, Rich, you'll recall I had you and a number of your colleagues over for dinner. And again, we had a terrific conversation, and it was just one of those moments that I just so enjoy our conversations. And Rich gave me a gift that is a very meaningful gift to me, and I kind of wanted to share it with you. In fact, it means so much to me that I've taken a picture of it. And Rich gave me a copy of his book, of course, on reinforcement learning. I haven't read all of it yet. But he dedicated it. I was going to show, if I'd gotten here earlier, I would have had it on camera, but I got a little picture of it here, and I want to read to you the dedication. And he said, "To Bill Flanagan, let's work together to make Alberta intellectually awesome." And I thought, what a wonderful tribute. And Rich, you've done it. We're there. The Turing Award is a demonstration of that. You have made such an enormous contribution, not only to the University of Alberta, but to Alberta and to Canada. And Rich told me the remarkable story of his journey coming to Canada and why he chose the University of Alberta. And you'll know Rich had a very incredible academic career and all the rest. And he chose to come to the U of A. And Rich, you were telling me why you came and why you've stayed, and how you found a community here of support, and a community that has that ambition to be intellectually awesome. and you have been such an important part of making that happen. So just once again, I want to express my deep appreciation to you on behalf of the University of Alberta for all that you do and all that you will continue to do, because we're not letting you go anywhere. And I also just want to mention your mentorship and your kindness and your generosity, in addition to your extraordinary vision for what we can do at the University of Alberta in collaboration with Amii. So once again, warmest congratulations. I think I'm only second to you for the person being most thrilled for this honor for you, in your honor, and one that is also bringing such tribute to the University of Alberta in Canada. And really, as you will have noted, this is an announcement that has garnered global attention. So we're enormously proud, and this is only the start of many celebrations to come to celebrate your achievements. So once again, thank you, everyone. And Rich, I think it's now over to you, the man of the hour. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Bill. I was tearing up a little bit, actually. You're very, very warm. And thank you, Cam. And thank you. I mean, I have so many people to thank. I just want to mention a few of them. You know, first, Andy Bartow, my mentor, shares the prize with me. He's a great scholar. Really, I think it's the foundation of the striving for intellectual awesomeness, excellence, and also the idea Cam alluded to, how we want to be ambitious without being arrogant. We want to be humble, and so I think that comes from Andy, an appreciation for all that. The university has been great for me. We are now just like the center of the world for reinforcement learning. And of course, naturally, I'm thinking reinforcement learning is the center of the world for artificial intelligence. So I think we are going to play. We have played and we're going to play an important role in AI going forward. Okay, I also want to thank all the students and the faculty members. We have like a dozen faculty members that are working in closely related to reinforcement learning. It's a very special collection of people. The reinforcement learning and AI lab, we have many graduates and members of that. I've graduated 14 PhD students. I almost thought I should name them all, but I won't. You know who you are. So, yeah, thank you. Although I won't be able to put it anywhere. I so will. Thank you. Perfect. I didn't bring any notes either. Kind of making it up. But you know, I've been spent this last week talking to the newspapers and doing all these interviews, and so I've formed a lot of key points that I want to make. Okay? I want to start actually with Alan Turing. Alan Turing, whom the award is named after and who everyone knows is our founder sort of of the field of computing science. He's our father. He's our original computing scientist. And he was the first in 1947, apparently the first, to talk about AI. The first public presentation about AI was the presentation of Alan Turing. It wasn't a paper, it was a talk to the London Mathematical Society in 1947. And he talked all about AI. And in the end of that paper, because we have the transcript, the written version of that paper, at the end of that talk, he says, he has this line, what we want is a machine that can learn from experience. And I think that's the first time anyone has ever said that. A machine. Of course, we've always had animals that learn from experience, people that learn from experience. But the first time we have a machine that learns from experience is in Alan Turing's lecture. You know, maybe there was a first one, and I would be curious, you know, if anyone comes across an earlier mention of that idea. I'd be interested to know that, just, for Andy. Because he wants to be scholarly, and we all want to be scholarly for intellectual excellence. So in a sense, it's an obvious idea to learn from experience. And yet, I don't know, you may not know, but it was absolutely lost. It was lost for many, many years. Some people talked about it in the 50s, like Marvin Minsky's thesis was on it. But there are very few works. And it wasn't until Harry Clough rediscovered it and pointed Andy and I at it, more firmly at it, and that we recognized it needed to be studied, needed to be developed, needed to become a field. It was obvious, but not studied. And so it needed more work. And that eventually led to the field. So, nowadays it's obvious reinforcement learning is a thing to do. It probably is hard for you to imagine that it would not exist, but it did not exist as a machine learning endeavor. Still, today, I would say the importance of learning from experience is not appreciated. I mean, I've just had to give all these interviews and explain to so many people that learning from experience is not what modern AI does. Modern AI learns from people, learns from examples of people talking on the internet, learns from pictures that people have created. It learns from people and it tries to mimic people. And it doesn't really do, think of the difference between these two. One is a machine that tries things and solves a problem, gets the world to do something. And the other one, which follows instructions. The other one, which mimics example behavior. These are, subjectively, these are very different things. And, what is intelligence? Is intelligence mimicking examples? Is intelligence following instructions really well? Or is intelligence interacting with the world and figuring out how you can get the world to do what you want to happen? It's just subjectively, there's a degree of autonomy in one and a degree of, rote learning in the other. So they're very different. And I think we have far to go to fully understand learning from experience. Okay, so we had a great project to work on with still far to go. Okay, now I want to say something that's a little bit on the edge of arrogance because it's, I'm claiming to understand things better than many other people. But this is what we look for. Some of you have heard me talk about the idea of seeing the obvious. Seeing the obvious is when you see something that is really, if you can strip it away and look at first principles, is obvious. Or if you can look at it like a lay person rather than a trained person. Like a lay person would say, sure, what else are you going to do? Learn from experience. What else are you going to do? It's the obvious thing. But once we're trained, it can be hard to see it. So to see the obvious, reinforcement learning decades ago when Andy Barto and I started working was an obvious thing, and we were able to see it. And so we were able to see something that was obvious that others were not, most others were not able to see, and that became a big thing. And I think it's happened, I think it's going to happen again. I think it is happening again. That today, the way forward in AI is not through generative AI, it's not through mimicking people, it's not through large language models. It's going to be through reinforcement learning, through learning from experience. So, yeah, I'm hesitant because I'm saying something strong. I'm saying what others people are thinking is not going to be the way it's going to be. But at the same time, I don't want to claim deep insight, just want to claim that I'm seeing the obvious. Mimicking people, any kind of mimicking is not going to be powerful. Influencing the world, picking your actions, solving a puzzle of how do you get reward from this environment, That's what intelligence is, and it's absolutely obvious that that's really important. So I'm thinking that's the way it's going to happen. Okay, without dwelling on it, that's the working hypothesis, the proposal. And then we have to have the other shoe drop. The other shoe drop, if reinforcement learning is going to be, is essential, is the path to AI, well, what is the, it's also true that University of Alberta is far more than any other place the leader in reinforcement learning. So I think there's a lot of, you just put those two together, the syllogism, it seems almost inevitable that there's a lot of responsibility falls to us. Like we're the ones to do it or to fail to do it, okay? Okay, so I'm just trying to explain to you why I'm struggling with this arrogance and ambition thing. I'm thinking we have a big role to play, and that's arrogant. But it just seems like the facts to me, and so I wanted to share that all with you and to encourage you all to be ambitious. In Canada we have a little bit of trouble being ambitious, and I have trouble worrying that I'm being arrogant. I can even own arrogance. I don't mind that. I just want to see the truth. This is what we really try to do. This is what intellectual excellence means, or intellectual awesomeness means. It means trying to see the truth and trying to see the truth that matters. So that's what I want us to keep trying to do here in Alberta. And I want to be part of that, and I want you all to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Rich. Continuing inspiration. Maybe I'll close off with part of our conversation that Rich mentioned, which is maybe the best thing to come from a Turing Award winner, which is there are no authorities in science. And for someone who's constantly been questioning things, as encouraging even to question whether or not, in 1947, that was actually the first time a presentation was done about that. I think you can get a great insight into, the culture that Rich has continued to drive, at the U of A, and what we're excited to continue to drive with him going forward. So thank you so much for joining today. I believe we're moving now into Scrum over here. So it goes, if you are in the Scrum, which is Rich, Bill, and myself. If you are not in the Scrum, scram, because we have some stuff to set up. So grab some coffee and snacks. And thanks so much again for joining here this morning.